rather than just starting from decontaminating the genuine activism, let me put this question differently. Is left intellectually dead in this country?
Far from it. There are two or three things that are worth mentioning here, Kartikeya, and thank you for inviting me to your show. Number one, at the stage of development in which India exists today, the idea that the country or the state or society should be more equitable, which is the sort of front facing belief of the left, will always be popular among many people. But there is a deeper, insidious issue that we have to grapple with the failure of the Soviet Union and indeed the failure of revolution in India, the price for the left or the ultra left, which was hoping to, in a sense, trigger communist revolution in India, has moved further and further away. Please remember, former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh used to describe the Maoist terror in central India as India's biggest internal threat. What has happened, and as you were saying, this entire violence has an intellectual cover. Even today, as the Indian state moves in to finally settle this issue, there are people in Delhi who are giving it intellectual cover by saying, oh, why aren't they listening to the Maoists and so on and so forth? Why aren't they allowing them to surrender? They are allowing them to surrender, but the state must take a hard security stand. After all, as you yourself pointed out, Kartikeya, 2,700 security personnel have been murdered. So, I want to talk about this with a certain perspective. We must wipe this out. It's absolutely critical that we must wipe this out. And we must also wipe out its intellectual cover. At the same time, there is a need, and I keep saying that as we wipe this out in the jungles of central India, something more equitable must replace it. Rapacious mining or rapacious real estate is one of the most corrupt sectors in India, cannot go in and destroy this thing that we are getting back after so much bloodshed, our country, our land that we are getting back after so much bloodshed. There's a balance. But this intellectual cover in our cities is extremely toxic. It moves from certain kinds of academia, it moves from certain kinds of quote unquote commentariat, it moves from certain kinds of media, which pushes this agenda day in and day out. In fact, these kids who went to protest there, the truth came out of them. They have been so indoctrinated in a pollution protest, they began to talk about Hidma. This is very dangerous. This is very insidious. My last point, Kartikeya, I really want to make this point. Please remember, around the world, the extreme left and the Muslim Brotherhood and Islamists are coming together. They are trying to come together in India too. We already know that elements of the Muslim Brotherhood are active already in Kashmir. These elements are trying to come together. If they do manage to come together, it will be very bad news for India.
Brijesh, do you think that this is like actual disservice to good activism, which is like everyone suffers from pollution in Delhi? It's a problem. But what these guys have done, no one is going to go to India Gate.
Well, I think it was extremely perplexing because there were people had assembled to protest against the poisonous air which we are breathing, kids are breathing, and almost every sane mind is protesting against it, hoping that some sort of solution comes out from the government or some other way, where you can have a clean air, it should be your right. But the fact of the matter is that this particular protest, there's one individual sitting there with a poster of Hidma and the slogans being raised, Hidma Amar Rahe and all. It was extremely
There are a
baffling.
lot of them. If you look at it, there
it
are a lot
was-
of them. There was an entire group. Lot of people were holding
it was
organized.
extremely baffling, and I think it shows that complete disconnect from reality which is happening. And as Hindol was also pointing out, the fact is that once it was the biggest internal security threat, as was pointed out by the then Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh, but right now it's literally on its last leg. And the government is giving opportunities for all these Maoists to surrender their arms unconditionally and join the mainstream. But you cannot be waging war against nation and then killing security forces and then expecting a fair play as far as this.
That's a very important point. Hindol, why doesn't people understand that when you use certain words, even rhetorically, it questions the very idea of nation? Even if I keep aside, their lack of history, understanding who Birsa Munda is and who Hidma is, I really don't want, they should have read the history books before comparing Birsa Munda with Hidma. The basic understanding what constitutes a nation how you define your protest, everything is missing. This questions the very idea of nationhood, the protest. And it's not funny thing. As a citizen, I don't find it funny.
No, it's not funny at all, and we should not take this lightly at all. Please remember, for a long time, all of this poison that was poured into young people was taken lightly. Please remember, Kartikeya, and I'm sure Brijesh will remember, and you will also remember, we all used to be journalists at that time. At one point, the Home Minister of the country went to JNU and actually said to students there who cheered loudly that, oh, we know you will never give up arms because, that's your struggle. This is your armed struggle. But we are just asking you for a little bit of time from the Maoists to actually have a conversation. The Home Minister of India was begging with cheering students who had been indoctrinated at JNU to think in terms of the fact that this nation has to be transformed, there has to be armed rebellion, and of course the people who indoctrinated all these things are looking towards China, looking towards erstwhile Soviet Union.